What's up, guys? We're back again with another Moonkin Monthly, this time for the month of September. This is probably going to come out on October 1st because I don't want to release it at 10 o'clock at night. However, still being recorded in September. All right, with that said, I want to thank our Patreons. We got Arui, Gesu, Krona, Lunar, Nevernude, Sero, Solanus, Zwifta, Tiggs, Pixel, Mr. Sliggy, and H3. Big ups to all of you guys, really appreciate it. So what I've been up to, I've been, of course, doing the Titan Forge podcast. You guys see that weekly with Dratnus and Trell. If you guys like a lot of Mythic Plus analysis, that would probably be pretty good for you guys. I've been doing a decent amount of Mythic Plus content just in general, running a lot of keys lately. Of course, been streaming pretty much all of that. So if you guys want to know anything about Mythic Plus, I'm way more readily available on my stream. I've been trying to stream a lot. You can also watch a bunch of the VODs and stuff like that if you guys are looking for that. I've also been doing raid. I don't think I've been going for parses. However, I have finally obtained a decent all-star ranking, and then got Goosey and David Q flamed because apparently I was ahead of them in all-star points. So, but now David's ahead of me again. So that's what I've been up to. As for future of the channel, I am going to do some more Mythic Plus focused content that seemed to be received really well. So I really enjoyed doing the Mythic Plus VOD review style stuff. I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to finish off the Ashara's Eternals Palace series as well, and going to just continue streaming on my Twitch page. So all three of those things are in the imminent future for me, for this channel, and for my content just in general. Alrighty, so as for topics today, we have a couple topics. First off is how to parse an Ashara's Eternal Palace, and like what you should be looking to do to get like good parses. And then we got how to get into Mythic Plus groups as Moonkin, and more like, is it really that viable for like pugging keys and like a non-coordinated group? More to say. All right, so with that said, let's start off with the Warcraft logs page and how to parse in Ashara's Eternal Palace. So we're just going to pull up my Warcraft logs page, and basically you can see I'm running some like scuffed talent setup with Incarnation Chosen of Elune. I would advise against playing that. However, if you do prefer Incarn like myself, don't feel bad about playing Incarnation inside of Raid. I would just say that Star-Lord is pretty much better under most situations, just in general. All right. And then as for how to parse, there's going to be one thing that is pretty consistent across all of these and across most parses inside of Ashara's Eternal Palace for Balanced Druid. And it is this lovely, lovely major essence called Visions of Perfection. Basically, RNG proccing your Incarnation buff is always going to be very, very strong over the course of a whole entire fight. You can see on my best Abyssal Commander Savara parse, I had 49.67% of it uptime on it, which is pretty high. And whenever you do, in fact, get those procs with adequate spell weaving on all of your stuff and everything else, you should be looking to get a pretty decent parse overall. So yeah, so for that boss, I ended up getting like rank 208, which is pretty good. So we can kind of look at some of the other stuff. So it looks like I actually had I remember this. I actually had an insane Queen's Court parse, and even though I am playing again with Incarnation as opposed to Star-Lord, I actually ended up having like the most insane RNG on my Incarnation. So 59.5%. Of course, the proc of Visions of Perfection whenever you are running Incarnation is longer, so that's obviously going to be a little bit skewed. However, what did I end up doing? Like 60k DPS? Yeah, 57k DPS is like still pretty good. So playing for Visions of Perfection is one of the major pillars of getting really good parses inside of Ashara's Eternal Palace. Of course, there are a lot of other things like making sure you're spell weaving, making sure that you have the right gear. Having top level Benthic gear is also pretty important too. And something I actually wanted to highlight is Valk here from Infinity actually has rank 1 overall on Abyssal Commander Savara. He was playing Visions of Perfection Major, and he had a 70% uptime on celestial alignment. So when it's good, baby, I guess, is the point of that. But making sure that you have your benthic gear. Of course, my benthic gear is so fucking bad. Making sure that you're adequately geared relative to the dungeon as well. I would also probably avoid looking to play Visions of Perfection on progression. I would probably be looking to play a little bit more of like the Condensed Life Force-esque stuff. And the reason for that being is just because it's far more consistent damage. However, for Queen Ashara and Zakul, though, basically I would probably still play Visions of Perfection for both of these boss fights, just because whenever you want the cooldown reduction from Visions of Perfection Minor for Balanced Druid, you may as well take the cooldown you may as well just take the major, because basically they want me to pop my Incarn at 255, and then they want me to pop it again at 534. And if I were to play Visions of Perfection Minor, it's just so not worth. You may as well just go all the way and play the major. So I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. Visions of Perfection is obviously incredibly strong. It's pretty good whenever paired up with Incarnation as well. So those are some things to note. So, but I am, again, still hindering myself by playing Incarn over Star-Lord. And it's honestly just because I don't really care. I'm just continuing to play more of my Mythic Plus setup just because I prefer it. So that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's that. All right. As for our next topic of the day, we got how to get into groups as Moonkin, and is it really that viable? So first off, we're going to start off by showing my Raider IO page. Right there. All right, and so as you guys can see, I'm like 3100 score, which is pretty high. I'm rank 6th in the world for Druid DPS, 3rd in the US. I think the only Moonkin that I actually know that I'm behind is Gape. I actually don't really know Final Heal X. I don't really know that guy that well. He's an Alliance side on US, but yeah. So yeah, 3100 score-ish. Obviously some pretty high level keys done just in general, so I have a pretty unique perspective on this. But yeah, my gear is also insane. Like Ashara's staff for Mythic Plus is also really, really good. We can talk about that in a little bit as well, like what I'm playing talent-wise. So as for the main topic, how to get into groups as a Moonkin. So first off, Balanced Druid is incredibly group specific, and you kind of need a comp that plays really well around it. In general, I would suggest Brewmaster seems a little bit better than Protection Warrior for Moonkin, and then you either need one Rogue, one Demon Hunter, or double Rogue to kind of make it work. Obviously, the one Rogue, one Demon Hunter, one range DPS comp is kind of falling back into favor, and Balanced Druid seems like it's one of the top couple of classes for that, so you guys are in pretty good spots there. However, for like pugging and stuff, I still think Balance probably has a pretty bad representation and pretty bad reputation for not being that great. So I would be concerned to tell people that they should be looking to play Balanced Druid inside whenever they're looking to pug keys. Reason for that being is because people don't want to feel left out. And since Balance doesn't have that super sick community perception that they had back in Legion or whatever, I would just be worried that people would get denied from LFG a significant amount more. So it's kind of rough. But the viability of Balanced Druid is definitely there. If you can find like your own coordinated group, or if you're making the group yourself, like that's the best way of doing it, is making the group yourself or playing with people consistently, then Balanced Druid is really, really good. And it's really good in a lot of different spots. However, I would say the biggest issue is the barrier of entry of just getting into those groups. Not really the viability aspect of it. With that being said, I kind of question whether or not you should just play like Restoration inside of like lower level keys, especially keys that you're looking to pug. So for like one, the availability of healers is significantly less. Restoration is the best perceived healer for Mythic Plus, so you would have no issues of getting into lower level keys through LFG. And like, if your goal is to just do a weekly 10, then that would definitely be a better option overall. It also helps you get introduced to other people, and if you did want to eventually play Moonkin, you could just like start running with consistent group as Resto, and then maybe start inviting like other people that are Resto, and then you swap to Balance, like that kind of stuff is also a pretty nice way of doing it as well. However, if you want to really grind through and be a balanced druid in Mythic Plus, especially at like lower level keys range, like say you wanted to get your Keystone Master, like all of your 15s done, I would really recommend you just make the group. Honestly, point and simple, I would just recommend you make the group. Would be my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice would be probably be patient. You need to be really patient with all these people, especially if you're doing it through LFG. If you do have a consistent group of like guildies or whatever else, teaching them some of the strategies for how to do dungeons would probably be the best way of approaching that. Getting some nice routes, obviously downloading method dungeon tools, that'll help as well. All right, so let's pull back up my Raider.io page and kind of talk through what I've been playing in Mythic Plus and talk about why it's probably not that great. So, even though I am one of the top Moonkins, weird flex, I'm still playing some stuff that I would definitely deem suboptimal. So, my item level is really, really high. I think I'm like almost 450 item level equipped in my gear. But some of the stuff that's bad is definitely the shoulder piece. Basically, the shoulder piece has streaking stars, loyal to the end, overwhelming power, or it doesn't even have overwhelming power. It has heed my call. Streaking stars, heed my call, loyal to the end, and resounding protection. Loyal to the end is so fucking bad in Mythic Plus because it gives you a bunch of mastery, and basically nobody else plays it. No rogues play it because mastery's terrible for them. Brewmaster monks should probably not be playing it. Resto druid can play it, but very infrequently do they do. So that shoulder piece is bad. The upside of the shoulder piece, though, is that it has resounding protection on it, so 80k absorbs are wild and very, very nice for a lot of different things. So I'm kind of at a weird spot where as soon as I get Gorak tools, I would put that on, but until then, I'm just going to continue to wear this, even though my mastery is really high and loyal to the end is bad. As for essences, I'm firmly in the camp of Visions of Perfection Major for high keys is by far the best option. If you don't really know what you're doing with your cooldowns at all, and you're playing Visions of Perfection, just slamming them on cooldown is the best advice to give. However, if you're still not comfortable with your cooldown timings, or you're doing keys that are too low, you should definitely run Essence of the Focusing Iris Major. As for my minor essences, currently it shows that I'm wearing Essence of the Focusing Iris Minor. But for Mythic Plus, it's basically there's only 3 essence choices for minors: Conflict and Strife, Purification Protocol, and Essence of the Focusing Iris. Currently, what I deem the best is you play Conflict minor 100% of dungeons, and then you play Purification Protocol in most dungeons, and then you play Iris inside of Toldagor, King's Rest, and Temple of Sethralis. And that is the exact same for when you should take Shooting Stars over Fury of Elune. Basically, I play Fury of Elune in every single dungeon that is not named Temple of Sethralis, Toldagor, and King's Rest. And the reason I don't play in Toldagor is because we play around the cannons so heavily that I don't feel like I get very good value out of Fury of Elune just over the course of the whole entire instance, and I think I'd rather have the single target damage. That's pretty much it, point and simple. The next thing that we've seen a lot of lately is Incarnation Chosen of Elune. I'm like pretty much the only person who plays this in the high end. I know some of the top Moonkins in the world. Sinky, I know for a fact that this guy plays Starlord every single dungeon. I know Gate plays Starlord every single dungeon as well. I have no idea what these 3 other guys that are ahead of me play. Let me kind of look. So this guy looks like he actually plays Starlord, Twin Moons, and Shooting Stars. I would assume that that's used in some dungeons, probably not most. What does he play? So he's actually playing Renewal, Starlord, Twin Moons, and Fury of Elune. Renewal is actually really good in some spots, so that makes actually a lot of sense. Renewal is good whenever you feel like you can play around the dungeon and not need the Wild Charge. I always feel like Wild Charge is better because it just gives you a little bit more damage. But you could definitely make a case for Renewal. I'm not good enough of a player to pull off Renewal. So I just don't play it. It's good in some dungeons, though. It's like really good in KR. It's really good in Toldagor. It's really good in... Actually, I wouldn't even say it's good in Toldagor. Like, for Bleeding Edge content, for Toll, you actually need Wild Charge to be able to dodge Sand Queen. So, maybe just KR in Sethralis. But I would feed on the first boss if I took it in Sethralis. Anyways, so that's kind of interesting. Most people are playing Starlord. I've been playing Incarn. I personally prefer Incarn, so it's a weird thing that I'm doing. I don't I don't think either of them are like remarkably better than one or the other. If I thought Starlord was better than Incarn for Mythic Plus, there's absolutely no chance I'd take it. I think they're about the same though, damage wise, just in general. So I continue to play that. Yeah. But anyways, basically all the rest of your talents are pretty cookie cutter. There's nothing really unique about any of your talent trees or anything else. So that's interesting. What did it? I saw something that was also weird from this other guy. Oh yeah, okay. I wanted to talk about Font of Power. Trinket choice inside of Mythic Plus is also interesting to think about as well. And I've talked about it on stream to a lot of people. I basically play Shiver Venom Relic and Leviathan's Lure. People always ask me about the Shiver Venom Relic. Obviously, my 455 Leviathans is insane. But the 450 Shiver Venom Relic, one, it has avoidance on it, so it's hard. I'm hard pressed to take it off. Two, I've been predominantly running with Brewmaster Monks lately because they synergize pretty well with Moonkin, and they run a weapon from the first boss inside of Ashara's Eternal Palace, which does AoE damage, and it also does increased damage if somebody in your group is wearing Shiver Venom Relic. So Shiver Venom Relic actually becomes pretty competitive damage-wise whenever you actually do have one of those weapons inside of your group. Even though it doesn't show up on your damage meter, it's more group damage, so you have to think about those kind of things. But Font of Power is also a really, really good option. Utilizing it outside of combat to be able to get 30 seconds of that intellect is incredibly strong. It just kind of puts you in a weird spot, and you have to make sure that you channel the full time. So it's kind of weird to play around. And if you have a high one at like a high item level, I would recommend just playing around it a little bit more, trying to think about when the best time to use it is. You have to have like a really clear understanding of your routes, otherwise you're going to kind of scuff the usage of it. So really, really like playing more Mythic Plus and really getting a clear understanding of what you're going to be doing over the course of the whole entire dungeon is important to be playing Font of Power inside of Mythic Plus. So that's that. And then the last like major thing for Mythic Plus would have to be the Ashara weapon. It stacks up over the course of the whole entire dungeon, and then will proc once you hit either 10% health or mana, doing just an insane amount of damage and like pretty much topping your whole entire group healing wise. You want to use this for DPS. You want to stack this up the whole entire instance and use that at like the last large pull of the instance to be able to do the most amount of damage. You can't die though. Like, you absolutely cannot die. Dying is a terrible mistake with this weapon. Sometimes it procs, like especially this week whenever it's bursting. Like, I'll have it proc at inopportune times and it'll make me sad, but it's just how the cookie crumbles. The weapon is on budget for stats, so it's even like, it's insane because the damage proc is just bonus. It's just a bonus that you actually end up getting. But making sure that you save it over the course of the whole entire instance is important. The best way of proccing it is you go 2 regrowth casts in a row, and then you go a wild growth cast. Like, you don't swap to human form, you just like cast it in Moonkin form, and it'll instantly take you out and start casting the wild growth. And then you swift mend, and then then you'll drop below 10% mana, and the staff will proc, and then you'll be good to go, doing an insane amount of damage and topping the meters. That's how I achieved that 63k DPS inside that Waker's Manor. That's how I've done some insane damage in some of these other dungeons. I think I hit like a 5.5 million staff inside of Shrine of the Storm today. There have been some insane staffs by Gape, I know, in Shrine recently as well. So that will be that. Overall, I think that will do it for this month's Moonkin Monthly. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you guys would like, you can check my stuff down in the description. I got a Patreon, Discord, Twitch. I'm gonna link Gabe's Twitch in my description as well. You guys can go check him out. He's also been doing a lot of High Mythic Plus if you want to see that kind of stuff from him. Just kind of see a differing perspective for other people doing Balanced Druid keys. So I hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later.